politics and crypto. What's going on and what's next? In 2009, Bitcoin was launched by someone under the name Satoshi Nakamoto. It wasn't backed by any government or institution, and it appeared during the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, a time when trust in banks and central authorities was at an all-time low.
Officer, whereabouts is the closest bank? It's right around the corner. All right, cheers, thank you.
At first, it was mostly ignored, just something tech enthusiasts and libertarians talked about online. But year by year, the world changed, and so did the relevance of crypto. Welcome to the SwapSpace channel. Today we're exploring the evolution of crypto and politics surrounding it. We start back in 2009, the birth of Bitcoin. Again, it emerged from the 2008 financial crisis as a decentralized alternative to traditional finance. Its first real-world use, buying 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin back in 2010, was a symbolic but historic moment, proving Bitcoin could function as money.
Thanks for inspiring International Bitcoin Pizza Day. This is awesome. Cheers to you.
Next, we have the rise and fall of Silk Road, 2011 to 2013, when the darknet markets like the Silk Road used Bitcoin for anonymous transactions. While it gave Bitcoin a controversial reputation, it also highlighted its core strength: censorship-resistant, peer-to-peer value transfer. Next, we have the Cyprus crisis and the global distrust in banks back in 2013. When the Cypriot government froze bank deposits to bail out banks, people saw firsthand the risks of centralized finance. Bitcoin, with its be-your-own-bank ethos, gained massive interest, sending its price soaring. Next, we have the Mt. Gox collapse in 2014, the largest Bitcoin exchange that lost 850,000 Bitcoin in a security breach. It was a devastating moment that shook investor confidence, but it also led to calls for better security, custody, and regulatory clarity in the crypto space. Next, we have the Ethereum launch and smart contracts back in 2015.
What's your favorite pickup line?
What?
Ethereum introduced programmable money and smart contracts, turning blockchain into a platform for decentralized applications. And this innovation laid the groundwork for the DeFis, NFTs, and the DAOs as we know them today. And back in 2017, when the bull run happened and the ICO boom exploded, again, crypto exploded into a mainstream thing. Bitcoin hit $20,000 and Ethereum-based ICOs raised billions. It brought massive attention and also triggered global regulatory crackdowns due to scams and lack of oversight. Next, we have the institutional awakening and the pandemic from 2020 to 2021. COVID-19 prompted massive money printing, fueling inflation fears, and Bitcoin became a hedge asset. Institutions like MicroStrategy, Tesla, and Square began buying in, and El Salvador made Bitcoin legal in tender. The industry matured in both visibility and legitimacy.
But what does that have to do with anything?
No. He's got a point.
Next, we have the DeFi and NFT explosion back in 2021. The Ethereum-based protocols enabled decentralized lending, trading, and yield farming. Simultaneously, NFTs brought crypto into pop culture, art, and gaming.
With music, picture me taking one of my classic records that you love to death, and you've always cherished it and it means so much to you. Now you have the right to buy it and own it.
And crypto was no longer just finance, it was digital identity and ownership. Next, we have the major collapses of Tera and FTX back in 2022. The fall of Tera's algorithmic stablecoin and the bankruptcy of FTX, one of the industry's biggest exchanges at that time, exposed systemic risks. Billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions were lost. The events marked a turning point, accelerating regulatory discussions and investor caution. And finally, we have the institutional integration and global adoption from 2023 to now. Despite setbacks, the industry rebounded.
I'm back, baby!
The US approved spot Bitcoin ETFs, countries like the UAE and Hong Kong welcomed crypto businesses, and in developing regions, crypto became a lifeline for remittances, savings, and financial inclusion. Now, let's look at the reason why people actually use crypto. Firstly, it's to protect against inflation, because in countries like Argentina, Turkey, or Nigeria, people use stablecoins to escape collapsing national currencies. It's also to move money without middlemen, because remittances in crypto are faster and cheaper than traditional banks and services like Western Union. Another thing is to bypass capital controls. When governments restrict how much money you can move or exchange, crypto becomes a way out. The benefits of crypto use to normal people include storing value safely, especially in countries with political instability or weak banking systems. Crypto is also used to earn. Staking, trading, and participating in DeFi or play-to-earn economies have opened up new income opportunities. And lastly, it is to own digital assets like NFTs or to access platforms through tokens. What started as a reaction to one financial crisis became a global movement used for wildly different reasons, depending on where you are in the world. Crypto didn't grow because it was perfect.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
It grew because the traditional system had many cracks, and people everywhere needed alternatives. Now let's look at the global powerhouses and why everyone has a different approach, starting with the United States. The US is stuck in contradiction. It's where most crypto innovation happens, but it's also home to the world's financial system, which crypto threatens.
Welcome back, Brad. It's your investment.
I'll take meme stocks.
Regulation here has evolved slowly and inconsistently. The SEC treats most crypto assets as securities, while the CFTC sees Bitcoin and Ethereum as commodities. And this turf war between agencies has caused confusion and pushed some companies offshore. There's no unified national policy, and Congress hasn't passed comprehensive crypto legislation.
Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence.
Some states, like Wyoming and Florida, are pro-crypto and trying to attract businesses, while federal regulators remain cautious. The US's approach is shaped by the financial self-interest. Crypto could disrupt Wall Street and the dollar's dominance. That's why regulations are walking at a fine line. They want to tax and control it without killing innovation. And some politicians genuinely support decentralized tech, but for most, it's about whether crypto aligns with the US economic power. Now, China.
The Chinese government further tightened the screws on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies on Friday.
China has banned crypto trading and mining multiple times, most recently in 2021. But despite the bans, the country continues to develop blockchain technology aggressively. The key difference is control. China launched its own central bank digital currency, or CBDC for short, the Digital Yuan, which is state-run and programmable. While public crypto is seen as a threat to the capital controls and political stability, private blockchains, especially those that serve the state, are welcome. The Chinese model is not anti-crypto, it's anti-decentralization. Regulation here is strict and top-down. It's not about enabling public adoption, and it's about reinforcing the state's control over digital finance. The end goal is to dominate the future of money, but on the government's terms. Now let's have a brief reminder about Europe. Europe is taking a structured approach. Instead of banning and ignoring crypto,
Who are they?
the EU created MICA, Markets in Crypto Assets, a unified legal framework that applies across all member states. MICA, passed in 2023, provides clarity on how crypto assets should be issued, traded, and safeguarded. It distinguishes between different types of tokens and puts consumer protection front and center. Europe's motivation is a mix of innovation and regulation. The EU wants to be seen as a tech-friendly, forward-thinking zone, but without sacrificing financial oversight. What sets Europe apart is its willingness to work with the crypto industry to create a legal environment that allows for growth, rather than just reacting with bans or enforcement. And last but not least, the most crypto-friendly among others is the UAE. Now, the UAE is going all in on crypto. Dubai in particular is positioning itself as a global crypto hub with regulatory clarity, tax advantages, and strong push for digital transformation. Back in 2022, the UAE launched the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority, or VAR for short, a dedicated regulator for the digital assets. This move sent a clear message: we're open for business. Now, what drives the UAE is that they want to diversify away from oil, attract foreign investments, and become a center for fintech innovation. Crypto fits that narrative. And unlike many Western countries, the UAE is embracing crypto, not just for monetary gains, but as a part of the national modernization strategy. They see blockchain as infrastructure, not just speculation. There are, of course, other countries with unique positions. El Salvador, for instance, made Bitcoin a legal tender in 2022. The government framed it as financial inclusion, but it was also a gamble to attract investment and tourism. The country has launched its own Bitcoin bonds and is working on a Bitcoin city. Argentina's population uses crypto, especially stablecoins, to escape chronic inflation and strict currency controls, and here, crypto is survival, not speculation. Nigeria banned banks from handling crypto in 2021, but it still remains one of the highest users of P2P platforms and stablecoins. The government launched the Inera CBDC, but the adoption is still low there. The people want decentralized alternatives, even if the state resists. Turkey sees massive retail use of crypto for inflation protection. Despite unclear regulations, the government has discussed a regulatory framework but hasn't finalized anything yet. And in each of these countries, crypto is used not because it's trendy, but because it solves real problems. It's not about believing in the ideals of Web3. It's about dealing with broken systems, surviving economic chaos, or hedging against unstable regimes. So the takeaway? There's no global agreement because each country has different priorities. The US is focused on financial power and regulatory dominance. China's focused on control and domestic alternatives. Europe wants structured, responsible innovation. The UAE wants to leap ahead and attract capital. And others, like El Salvador or Nigeria, are trying to solve urgent real-world issues. Some are here for the tech, some are here for the money, some are here because they have no other choice. And that's why crypto is political, and why no two approaches look the same. Let's take a closer look at the current situation, which, as we now know, is a world divided. We're seeing both adoption and rejection happening simultaneously, sometimes even within the same country. On one side, traditional finance is not just flirting with crypto anymore. It's actually stepping in. In early 2024, spot Bitcoin ETFs were finally approved in the US after years of rejection. This wasn't just a technical milestone, it was a political signal. When giants like BlackRock, Fidelity, and Franklin Templeton start offering Bitcoin exposure to retail and institutional investors, it shows that crypto has reached a new level of legitimacy in the eyes of regulators. Banks like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are also offering blockchain-based services, even after years of skepticism. Some are working with tokenized real-world assets, turning things like bonds and real estate into digital tokens, and that's a big shift, not just accepting crypto, but integrating its technology into the core of finance. Countries are also racing to issue their own central bank digital currencies. China's Digital Yuan, for instance, is already being tested on dozens of cities. The European Central Bank is also developing a digital euro. Even India has rolled out pilot programs for digital rupee, and dozens of other nations are following suit. But here's the catch. These government-banked coins, they're nothing like Bitcoin. They're programmable, traceable, and they're fully centralized. In some cases, they could expand government control over money, not reduce it. So can it even be considered crypto at this point? Share your thoughts on that in the comments. Now, at the same time, we're seeing a major regulatory crackdown, and it's not subtle. In the US, the SEC and the CFTC have gone after Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance in the past, accusing them of running unregistered securities exchanges or offering illegal products. Binance even agreed to a $4 billion settlement, and its founder, Changpeng Zhao, stepped down. Coinbase is fighting its case in court, the outcome of which could define how crypto is regulated in the US. Privacy coins like Monero or Zcash are being delisted from exchanges due to pressure from regulators, especially in Europe and Asia, the reasoning for which is, of course, anti-money laundering concerns. But the broader implication is that financial privacy is being treated like a threat, not a right. In some jurisdictions, crypto developers are being held liable for code. The US charged the creators of Tornado Cash, for instance, a privacy protocol, under money laundering laws. This raises a serious question. Is publishing open source code now a criminal act if it enables anonymous transactions? Real use cases, however, continue to grow, even under pressure. In Argentina, daily crypto use is normalized. People get paid in stablecoins, save in Bitcoin, and use exchanges as everyday banks. In Kenya and the Philippines, crypto-powered remittances are cheaper and faster than legacy systems. And politically, crypto is becoming a part of the global conversation. In the US, it's becoming a campaign issue. Presidential candidates are being asked where they stand on crypto, pro-crypto lobbies are forming, and even a summit was held on crypto in the White House, and there's growing pressure on lawmakers to stop regulating through enforcement. In Europe, MICA is just the first step. Regulators are discussing how DeFi should be treated. In developing countries, leaders are watching how tools like stablecoins and Bitcoin can improve financial access without needing full trust in the banking sector. So what we're seeing isn't just a tech shift, it's a clash of values. Freedom versus control, innovation versus regulation, privacy versus compliance. And crypto has long left the legal gray zone. It's now standing toe-to-toe with governments, banks, and even global institutions. Some are welcoming it, others are trying to tame it, and the other few, well, they're still trying to ban it. But the real story is this. Crypto is no longer asking for permission. It's already here, and the world is trying to figure out what to do with it. And so where is this all gonna go? Crypto is here to stay, that's clear. But the way it exists is going to change. What we're entering now is the era of regulated crypto, state-controlled digital money, and global competition over who controls the future of finance. We'll see tighter regulatory frameworks across the board. Some regions will lean into innovation and try to attract the industry. Others will double down on control, aiming to replace decentralized crypto with CBDCs and government-friendly blockchains. Balaji Srinivasan, investor and former CDO of Coinbase, says the next decade is going to be a battle between centralized and decentralized finance. And it's not just about money, it's about who gets to define the rules. Some countries will embrace crypto as infrastructure. The UAE, Singapore, and Switzerland are already shaping laws and supporting long-term growth in blockchain-based economies. Others will, of course, try to absorb the technology, launching digital currencies with surveillance capabilities like the China's Digital Yuan. Christopher Giancarlo, former CFTC chair, also known as Crypto Daddy, says, if we don't lead in the digital currency, others will. The US risks losing financial dominance if we fail behind. There's a growing tension between open, decentralized systems and tightly managed digital currencies. What started as a financial rebellion is now being pulled into the geopolitical spotlight. Big banks, asset managers, and governments now have a stake in the game. That means more legitimacy, but also more regulation, more compromises, and less room for pure decentralization. Jack Dorsey, Block CEO and Bitcoin advocate, says, crypto is not about making money. It's about freedom. That's what's at stake. Technologically speaking, the space will keep evolving. Zero-knowledge proofs, layer 2 networks, tokenized real-world assets, but the adoption curve now depends just as much on policy as it does on protocols. Christine Lagarde, the president of the European Central Bank, says, blockchain is real. It's going to be regulated like every other financial system. The sooner the industry accepts that, the better. And with that being said, there's a lot of homework for us to do. With such varying approaches the world had on crypto, the biggest open questions ahead are, will crypto remain a tool for financial freedom or just another layer in the existing financial system? Will privacy survive in a world of KYC and AML compliant chains? chains? Will governments compete to attract innovation or collaborate to restrict it? And will retail users still have access to open, permissionless finance in the next 5 to 10 years? Eric Voorhees, founder of Shapeshift, does a good job of describing the situation as it is right now, saying, "We're at a turning point. Crypto can either be co-opted and defanged, or it can stay true to its roots, but we can't have both." And indeed, we cannot have both. Crypto is no longer about whether it makes it. The question now is what version of crypto survives. One shaped by open source communities, or one shaped by regulation, politics, and corporate interests. Because at the end of the day, crypto isn't just about code. It's about power and who gets to hold it in the digital age. And that's about it for today. Like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more awesome deep dives into crypto-related topics. We'll see you next time. Stay safe.